holiday, so as per the rules, I will fill in for her to the best of my abilities. So that was number one, my opening remarks. Number two is to receive apologies for absence. Sharon, I believe we have three.
You've got apologies from Liz, who you quite rightly say is on holiday. Barry is...
we should say where Barry is. It's good.
We should say where Barry is, so I am going to tell you. Barry is enjoying a very lovely meal in Bristol because it's his golden wedding today. With his wife, of course.
With his wife.
So, and Tom has other... well, yeah, I just thought that sounded funny. And Tom has other commitments tonight.
So do I have a proposer to accept those? Thank you, Peter. And Mark, thank you. All those in favour? That is unanimous, all right. So we're on to number three, which is to declarations of members' interests and application of dispensation. Ron?
9B and 9D.
9B and D. And that's through, your declaration is through the RALC, is it? And
the RALC and the late night shopping's technically
yes,
first,
thank you. Pat? Item 6, Pat, Citizens Advice Bureau. Me. And Mike. And Godfrey. All right, I'll just go a little bit slower so that Sharon can catch up. All right, and then Mark.
My declaration's already recorded.
Okay, and Mark. So no one's after a anyone after a dispensation tonight? No, just declared. Okay, thank you, everybody. Welcome, members of the public. We're up to item 4. Would anybody from our public gallery like the opportunity to speak tonight? Yes, Andrew.
Mr. Vice Chairman, I'd like to speak about the housing development by Avant Homes, the 163 houses. I felt, as I presented at that meeting, that the scheme that had been produced by Avant Homes was entirely out of date.
So Andrew, I don't know if I'm allowed to. May I just point? So the meeting that Andrew's referring to was the design review, and Andrew's a member of NPAG, and he was at that meeting for that reason. So I just mentioned that. Sorry, Andrew. Apologies.
Thank you for clarifying. So, having looked at their scheme, it was clear that they were relating their scheme to housing design that was probably 25 years out of date. And they incorporated some very fundamental failings that would not be adopted in present housing schemes. Typical of being that the houses simply formed a large mass of housing, leaving green spaces to very little advantage of the site because they were at the back of the site, and as one member pointed out, an ideal place for drug users to meet up. And also they had made the fundamental error of parking their cars in front of the houses, so that all you really got was a large car park, and many of the cars were actually vans with advertising on them. So you can imagine how that took the development downhill pretty fast. Practically no planting at all. So when we then looked at what could have been done and should have been done, and referred it to what I would regard as quite a successful scheme at Blore, and I would say that when I first bought my house on Blore, I wasn't that impressed with some of it. So I now stand corrected because I realised in a period of time the Blore housing scheme was actually a very advanced one. That they used their green space to great advantage by putting it in the front of the site where the balancing ponds are. That the central area is given over to green spaces, so as one tours the Blore home site, one is more aware of green spaces than of rows of houses, and I find that very attractive. Probably most fundamental of all was the way that our housing is designed in community groups, and that is the current thinking, at a very fundamental level of thinking, which gives new house owners a sense of identity because they feel that their housing group or housing cluster of 5, 6, 7 houses, whatever it may be, means that they can relate to their property in relation to other properties around them, and that's supported by green space planting, which is essential and more or less non-existent in this proposed housing scheme by Avant, of groups or clusters of trees and planting. At Blore, what they had done was, because they parked their cars to the side of houses, not in front of them, it gave the opportunity for green space in front of the houses, which was an advantage, although to be fair, one of the failings of the Blore estate is that there is not enough planting. I think that's quite enough of me. But
Thank you,
thank you for that.
Well, thank you, Andrew, for that. And I think members will find your comments useful when we get to item 13 and we see the formal feedback. So that's helpful. I've just realised I've been somewhat remiss. I should have pointed out this meeting is, of course, being recorded, and the playback will be available on our YouTube channel. Apparently, that's correct, isn't it?
It is correct.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak? No. Right. So we will move on to item 5, which is to confirm the minutes of the full council meeting held on Wednesday, the 4th of October, 2023. How do you say on that, ladies and gentlemen? Mark would like to propose. Christine seconds. Does anyone have? I don't want to rush us. Does anyone have any comments, or are we happy to move to a vote? Yes, Pat.
Yeah, first of all, can I just ask, is there any movement on the hearing loop that was raised by members of the public?
Good point. Yes, Sharon.
No, there isn't any progress on that particular point at the moment.
But we're not ignoring it, are we?
We're not ignoring it.
I think it's important to say it was an excellent point, and we are hopefully doing something about it, aren't we?
The other was the link on the August audio has stopped working. Has that been investigated and anything done about it?
It has been investigated. Unfortunately, that recording was lost. The reason for it is, and I may get this wrong because I'm not awfully technical, it was put into a Dropbox. That Dropbox expires after a certain number of weeks, days, etc., which I wasn't aware of, so it expired without me knowing, which is why I was so surprised at the meeting that it had gone, because as far as I thought, it was on there. Unfortunately, we don't have another recording, so that meeting has gone, I'm afraid.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. So we had Godfrey, sorry.
Just on 55123. The 1, 2, 3, third bullet point, and this displays my ignorance. But I'm looking at how other people might look at the minutes. The figures quoted: £30 for full plot and £17.50 for a half plot. It doesn't say over what time scale that is. Is it per annum? Is it per month?
Per annum.
All of our allotments are yearly.
Per annum.
Yeah.
I think that might be worth, if somebody's looking at it from who knows nothing about allotments and is looking at the minutes, that might.
I think to reassure you, I believe we have allotment rates on our website, do we not? So that would help. All right, but thank you. Right, so should we move to a vote then? So we had a proposal and a second to accept these. All those in favour, please. That is not unanimous. Trevor, are you? Oh, yes, it is. It is unanimous. Thank you. I'm just going to sign now. One 11:23.
Soon be Christmas.
So I'll just put vice chair down, deputy
Just
chair.
absolutely chair of the meeting.
I am. That's it. And do I have to sign that other page?
No.
No. Right.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Right. Thank you very much. Right. Item 6. Do we have?
Yes, Duncan's at the back.
Duncan. Please come down and join us down here. So Duncan is going to give us a presentation from the Citizens Advice Bureau, and then after the presentation we'll be able to ask questions and consider any points that come out. Duncan, I don't know how long you're expecting, but perhaps 20 minutes might...
I'd prepared an hour and a half. I thought that was
So if you could talk 6 times faster than you thought, it will work.
No, I'll be very good.
No, is 20 minutes about okay?
20 minutes is absolutely
fantastic. Right, over to you.
So nice to see many familiar faces and a couple of new. As you all know, Citizens Advice Rutland is an independent charity. We're Oakham based, and occasionally I receive criticism that we're a very Oakham-centric charity and we don't get out into the regions and in Uppingham. So we've tried to make an effort in the last 12 months to expand our outreach both to Uppingham but also more importantly to the smaller community. So I thought I'd update on some of our developments. We ran a couple of sessions here in this room for people to come and get advice, and there was very little uptake. So we went back to certain members of the community in Uppingham and we asked them how we improve our outreach to Uppingham and how we get our advice and our services in front of the right people. Some suggestions have been made. We do a pop-up stall in the market here. People have said to us that the market may not be the right place, so we're going to do another pop-up stall in the summer in the co-op car park, and we're going to coincide that with a home football game for the Uppingham football team, which seems important. We've also recently signed a contract with the Coffee Connect bus, which will do 44 trips to rural communities in Uppingham with an advisor. And again, we'll talk to the town council about where the right place in Uppingham is, but we're trying to get our services and our advisors more visible to the right people in Uppingham. To illustrate the point, an extreme point, we had a case last week where a pensioner who she paid all of her benefits, worked in her entire life, but her benefits had been miscalculated by the DWP, and she was written a cheque last week for £16,500 by the DWP for benefits that she was entitled to that she hadn't claimed. Now that's an extreme case, but 2,000, 3,000 is not uncommon. So we're trying to get the word out into the community that if you are in receipt of PIP, personal independent pension, or benefits of any kind, come and see us, and we will do free of charge, confidential. We will do an income maximisation search against you, and the chances are that you are probably entitled to more benefits than you need. But the real point of all of this isn't about raising money or raising, benefits for individuals. The real point of this is that Rutland is a wealthy county, yes, for certain, but there are a small proportion of this county who are struggling under cost of living, under rising fuel prices, and we need to get the word to that small community that there are people who can help and who can assist and who can signpost. And a lot of what happens at Citizens Advice is people come to us and we deal with the people who self-declare. And we're trying to get to the people, particularly in the small rural communities, who don't self-declare, who may not be aware of the services we offer, and who may feel shame or don't want to come and see Citizens Advice. And we're trying to overcome those hurdles and trying to get benefits to as many people as possible. So we're using Uppingham as a bit of a guinea pig in terms of getting out into smaller communities. We're going to hire our first ever community ambassador based in Uppingham, who we're very close to contracting and becoming a fully fledged volunteer. And we will then follow that in smaller villages where we have people who understand Citizens Advice, who understand the confidentiality, and then those people will be present in the communities, and we'll ask them to go to charity events and meetings, and if they see somebody who might benefit from our services, in a very discreet, quiet way, just say, here's a card, why don't you call these people and see if they can help you. So it's a free service. In the last year and a half, we brought £2.8 million back to residents of Rutland in benefits and debt write-offs. And we receive criticism that we're not often in the community or the bits of the community where we're supposed to be. So this is the beginning of a process for us to reach out and try and reach the parts where other beers do not reach. Happy to answer any questions if I have.
Well, thank you, Duncan. I feel we should take the opportunity to ask Duncan some questions. So, Peter, would you like to lead?
Yeah, I'm it's more of a congratulation than a question, and I think you do absolutely sterling work, and I do realise how difficult it is, and I'm pleased that you make the point that everybody thinks. You say to people that when you're out and about or away from Rutland, where do you come from, Rutland? Oh, yeah, that's a wealthy county. You make the point very succinctly that there are a lot of people within Rutland who are not wealthy, and they are suffering, especially today more than so than in the past, maybe with the rising costs of the gas and electricity and other things, and they need help, and you're an excellent outlet for that. So I commend you highly on that. And yes, and if you can, include Uppingham a little more. And I take your point, that you did, and it wasn't that well. I'm not saying it wasn't well received, but it certainly wasn't taken up in the manner that we perhaps wanted to.
I think the execution was poor, and we've since consulted, and we're going to improve on the execution. I think.
Yeah. All I can say is just keep up the good work.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Good.
I think it's
So I'll go Pat, Sam, and then. All right, Pat had her hand up first.
one of the sort of things that we were discussing in our meetings was, and is very important, is the venue. Because we went through quite a number of, and there aren't that many really to choose from in Uppingham, but we found fault, if you like, with just about every one for a number of different reasons. And I think that's one of the fundamental things that needs to be got right, to be able to encourage people to feel comfortable in coming in.
So I completely agree, and the reason that Uppingham is a bit of a guinea pig for us is because we came here and did activities sort of unannounced. Well, we'll go to the market, that'd be marvellous. And then since then we've consulted with people in this room and elsewhere, and we realise that the approach isn't right. And the same thing will happen in Ryle and Wisendine and elsewhere. Each community has different aspects to it. And I think that the marketplace where you can buy, £8 camembert and expensive curry is probably not the right fishing area for citizens' advice.
And it's too visible too. I mean,
Yeah,
people, as you say, people have pride.
I think that's
they
very
don't want
true.
to be exposed. So it needs to be in some. I'm not saying
Can I-
secretive, but
No, so we're trying to refine our approach
Yeah.
by each
Yeah.
community, and we rely on people within communities, and within this room are several people who've been very generous with their time and said, listen, you could do it better this way, and that engagement will continue.
Thank you. So it's Sam next, and then Ron wanted to say something. So Sam?
Yeah, I think it was either you or a previous person that talked to us about it, was the fact that although the take-up in Uppingham, when you held those events, wasn't probably that big, I believe from memory, the proportion of people from Uppingham that you've represented one way or another, i.e. at Oakham, was quite high.
Statistically, you're about 28% of our cases.
Yeah.
So the point is that for citizens' advice, to get the people who self-refer is really easy. I could sit in my office and I could play tic-tac-toe all day long, but we know that there are areas of our community who are not coming to see us for various reasons, and those are the people, and we're trying to improve our outreach. So Uppingham is our biggest, after Oakham, our biggest area of referral, but it doesn't mean we've got it right. It means that we are still missing people in Uppingham, and we need to fish in the right places.
Thank you. Ron?
Two things, please. One is, are you going to be able to produce some stats about everything? One of the problems we normally have is we get buried in Rutland stats. So,
well, as you know, Rutland
accepting that stats are confidential, it would be useful for the town council to know just how big is the issue. We all understand that there is a group of people in town who are less fortunate than others, let's say, who can't afford the cheese. You've quoted that example several times to me now. I don't buy the cheese either.
I personally can't afford £8 camembert. Just saying.
But it would be useful to know the scale of the issue. That's one question. And the second one is that in the experiment where CAB did actually host some counselling, for want of a better description, in the town, because everybody knows everybody, it's just a village. The general view was that no matter where you put it, people will know. So actually coming to Oakham, ironically, despite the transport issues, worked because it protected, the very point that Pete makes, protected an element of confidentiality. And people were able to do that. And out of interest, that's what the church have found with the food bank. It's an interesting challenge for us.
So there's a couple of answers to that. One is that a lot of people who come to us now come via phone because they haven't got to worry about buses and all that, but also phone is anonymous, but you still got to know that the services are there, and you still got to trust the services. So the reason we're about to have a community ambassador in Uppingham as a test is to get somebody who goes to those communities, who goes to the football, who drinks in the Exeter Arms, or whatever the places where you might find people who are struggling economically, and have somebody within those communities who very discreetly can say there's a free confidential service and they're not going to judge you or any of that. But you're entirely right that if we put up a big caravan in the marketplace and said, if you've got issues, come and talk to us, no one will set foot in the caravan.
No, don't get me wrong. Loros, for example, has a very confidential room upstairs.
Yeah.
The very fact that people go in Loros and go up the stairs attracted attention. So whether you put it next to Arms, which you seem to be interested in nowadays, or some other place, wherever it is in Uppingham, people will know.
Yeah.
So I do have a genuine concern about, and it's not an easy answer.
So our
But
approach,
what's the right place to deliver the service?
our approach is on several levels. One is just to say the service is there. You can come via Zoom, you can come via phone, you can come in person. There are many ways you can approach us. The second thing is to have the right community ambassador with the right social skill set who can say, listen, Ron, I know you're a very proud dude, but just give them a ring and they'll sort you out. And the third piece of that is just to try and brand the service so that if you're concerned, many people think that what they're getting in terms of their pension, they've worked all their life, they think that's all they should be getting. And then when they come and do an analysis and they realise that they've been diddled by £1.70 a week, but if you add that up over 15 years, it becomes a significant. And we're trying to get that message out too. But it's a small community, and you're right. I live in an even smaller village than Uppingham, and it's even worse where I live.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go Ray, followed by Mike. Ray?
It's just a question, really. If you got somebody come to you with a problem, say with winter fuel payment, would you deal directly with the Department of Work and Pensions on their behalf, or would you merely advise them how to do it?
So the Department of Work and Pensions hate us with an absolute vengeance, which I'm very proud to say. So if we would tackle them directly, and most of my advisors have been giving advice for 20 plus years and know much more than the folk who are like 21, 22 school leavers at the DWP. And I've witnessed some of those phone conversations, and they're usually one-sided. But we will talk to whoever. There are funds available within Rutland. There are a million small charities and foundations who've got money. There are large national energy companies will also write people's debt off. So if we can't solve the problem, we will signpost you onto the problem. I'm not saying that we have the solution to everything, because the levers that we have to deal, particularly with fuel poverty, are much less, because you know what, we used to say change your tariff, now you can't do that, but there are options available, and particularly if you live on your own and if you're elderly and if you're in debt, there are things that we can do to help, and if we can't, there are other charities and other foundations we can signpost on. This is a small county, and we all know each other in this county, and we can refer and signpost quite easily, and in a way that you wouldn't see in the city of London.
Thank you. Mike?
No, I've been to a couple of your meetings, and I am biased because I trained as a volunteer for CAB in 1978, and I've been involved in welfare rights since. I don't think it's just about finance that CAB are around. They're there to give advice on all sorts of issues, not just finance. And the one thing that I've found about CAB, they don't turn people away.
Never.
A lot of organisations pass people on. Oh, we'll put you in touch with someone. CAB don't. They deal with it and take it on. Whether they can get a solution or not is irrelevant. They stick with it. The other thing is, there are a lot of people in Uppingham who are disenfranchised and feel isolated and don't feel part of the community. And that's the problem. It's not where you situate something, because I've worked in mining villages which are quite prominent, in small mining villages where people will come to CAB or come for welfare rights advice because they feel comfortable in going in. A lot of people in this town do not feel part of Uppingham. They're on the margins, and that's what we have to tackle, and that's what you guys are going to have to tackle, hopefully with our help, because people don't feel confident in us as a town.
I think that's entirely true, and I think that this is an ageing demographic in this county. In the next 20 years, 40% of this population is going to be of retirement age. Social isolation, I can never say that word. Social isolation is an increasing issue in this county, and we can't provide solutions for everything. But there's Age UK, there's Men and Women in Shares. There are services. We're a small community that is incredibly well served by the voluntary sector, and I also, with a different hat on, work with the voluntary sector. And I think if we can't deal with it, we will signpost and refer on. But some of these issues aren't about money or heating bills, they're about much more social aspects. But we're a small county and we must be able to find solutions to this
I
stuff.
think the other problem is in Uppingham and in other parts of the county, people don't think such things as domestic violence occurs and things like that. And people are afraid to put their heads above the parapet and say so. And that's where organisations like CAB come in, where people can go and feel comfortable and confident that they will be dealt with in confidence.
Domestic violence. The thing, I've only been in this job for 3 years, but the thing that drives me mad about this job is people come up to me and say, well, Rutland's a wealthy county and you all drive Range Rovers and you haven't got any issues. And actually, statistically, we mirror the national. There might be 40,000 of us, but if you blow us up to 400,000 and you become like a borough of Hackney, our statistics in terms of deprivation, drug abuse, alcohol abuse and domestic violence mirror the national. And next time someone says to you, oh, we all drive Range Rovers, refer them to me.
So, Duncan, I'm just watching again the time. What I heard tonight was the most key thing I thought from tonight was and I should get the phrase wrong, but it's going to be the community outreach person. I think what we would be very interested in is hearing when you appoint that person, and perhaps that person might be invited back. Do you think, ladies and gentlemen?
We'll ask the individual a question, and
I think that would be useful, wouldn't it?
The recommendation came from people in this room, and it was a fantastic recommendation that she's going to do the job brilliantly, and she's a very willing guinea pig for us. So
I think we would like to see the individual, wouldn't we?
Yeah, because we know the town as well as anybody.
Exactly.
If not better than most. Yeah. So we can have an input to help.
My guess is you know this person. My guess.
Well, we'd be surprised if we don't. All right.
Chair, you will know this person,
yes.
And this person probably knows the real Uppingham more than any of us in this room.
So let's not worry about. I think we all agree that even if we were living in the Royal Borough of Kensington, there would be some unpleasant people with domestic violence. When there would be some issues around drugs and so we're not pretending we live in a utopia, but we're all proud of our town and we are very happy to work with Duncan and others to keep it that way. Is that a fair thing to say? Yeah. All right, so thank you, Duncan. Brilliant. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Very much.
I'll take you now. I'll see you off the premises.
Make sure I don't need a laptop.
Well, you never know.
All right, so Mike's just. So
members left the room, Chair.
Member
stop the meeting.
Yeah, I'll just give Mike a second to come back. All right, if everyone's happy with that.
Yeah.
Oh.
We'll just give Mike a second, otherwise he doesn't want to miss your report, Christine. That's the point.
Am I next?
You're next on the agenda.
So prepare yourself.
Yeah.
I've got my notes.
Okay.
So I'm going to introduce the next item while Mike's not here, and I'll ask Christine not to start until he gets back. Christine, would you like to come and join us? And so the item, ladies and gentlemen, is to receive a report, verbal or written. It's all right, Mike. I wasn't starting without you. I was just introducing the next item, which is to receive a report, verbal or written, from our county councillors. So I've spotted the fact you are the only county councillor here, Christine. So I invite you up to come and join us and give your report.
Thank you. I need to start with apologies from Stephen, who was intending coming tonight, but he very helpfully had a work meeting moved from 6 o'clock to 7:30. So he sends his apologies. I could sit here and talk to you for hours about waste trucks, the consistency of brine that you spray on winter roads, tarmac contracts. I'm not going to bore you. A number of the local issues that I've been in discussion with Sharon about. We're striking difficulties at Rutland because of staffing. We are a number of staff short. That's not that we're going to permanently be those number of staff short, but we are currently a number of staff short. As I assured Sharon, those items remain on my agenda each week for my update. And by the way, have we got an update on? No, we haven't got anybody in post. Could we get somebody temporarily so we could be moving this forward? I am going to get there. The big thing I think that we've got coming up that I think we need to be very aware of and all work with our communities and anybody we're in touch with. We know the Uppingham neighbourhood plan is coming to the end of its consultation period, and if you haven't replied, do so. The next biggie is the local plan. This next stage of the local plan is the stage at which the biggest difference can be made. If you don't say it at this stage, you're not going to make a lot of difference. I think, personally, there is a lot to be said about it. There is a lot that needs reinforcement, where there is a sentence and there needs to be more. There are other places where there's more paragraphs than there needs to be on something, and it needs to be the weight of public opinion that changes those. We need to make sure that we can't say, well, the public wouldn't support it. We need to be clear that what they would support. And one of the reasons it's important is when you come to planning, and we've had a discussion today about planning in the public session. The first thing that is looked at is national planning guidance. Can we turn it down based on this? The next thing that's looked at is the local plan. And if it isn't supported by the local plan, then you've lost one of your major reasons for turning something down. So if we're wanting developments with more trees, then we have to have that sort of thing in the local plan. It has to be there. So I just plead with everybody to read it and make sure it represents what you want for your county, and make sure Uppingham is well enough represented in there.
May I ask a question on our collective behalf? I'm sure we would all want to ask Christine, how are we seeing our, very important to us, our neighbourhood plan reflected in this local plan? Because we've been given to believe previously that housing allocations would be dealt with through the Uppingham neighbourhood plan, and that obviously we have those important areas around how we want to see clusters and so on in our neighbourhood plan, and we would like the local plan to reflect our neighbourhood plan.
From memory, and it is a huge document, and I've seen I don't know how many iterations of it already, they are reflected as housing numbers in there, because the thing that drives the local plan is the 5-year housing targets. So the staging of the housing is important, because we have to hit so many houses each year. And if at any stage a development comes forward and Rutland is failing to meet its 5-year targets, they can override. So when we're saying we're going to have these developments coming through on this sort of timing, we need to be hitting those, because they will feed into those 5-year plans. Because once we've lost our 5-year housing stock, they can pretty well do whatever they want.
I know Lindsay wants to come in there. I think I don't like to do this, but I think I ought to clarify quickly that and I probably take advice from our neighbourhood planning champion. My understanding is that once our revised neighbourhood plan is made, which is hopefully going to be January or February next year, I believe we have a 2-year protection, do we not? So even if Rutland fails in its 5-year plan, I believe that Uppingham would have a 2-year protection. Lindsay.
I didn't have a question actually.
Oh, you were just waving at me. It's nice. It's nice to see a friendly face. Thank you. But sorry, Christine. Christine, back to you. Sorry, I apologise.
That was my main concern was to bring that. I mean, I'm happy to take any questions.
Yeah.
To be honest, if people have got concerns that they want to raise with me, that I can take back or
Brilliant.
attempt to
So
action.
Trevor's first, followed by Sam. Trevor.
Christine, just on your last point, when you said about the targets, are you saying that they're focusing more, bearing in mind what we've heard from Andrew and obviously what is on our desk today about and our experience of the elms and this sort of thing, are you saying that the people of the council are much more focused on numbers than design, context, all these features which, you know, I'm sure people given the time to debate this as we have, we assume that, you know, there are many out there who will have a similar view. Some of them would, you know, would not necessarily be interested, but, you know, primarily when they see something, a finished product, that's when they, you know, if they haven't woken up before, then it's their fault. But yeah, so the number one is saying is, are they just looking at numbers, not design, no context, no thinking about our situation in Uppingham because we are different from Oakham, things of that nature?
I don't think it's fair to say they're concentrating totally on numbers. When you read the local plan, there is consideration of design and so on, and the emphasis within the two towns and so on. I would want the local plan to reflect what people think, what is important to them. So points like, we don't want the green space shoved at the back of an estate. That might be in there, but it might be a sentence. And I think if it's important to people, we need to make clear that that is important and we want it written much larger.
Okay, thank you.
So I don't think it's excluded, but I think we need support to suggest we want that written larger.
So
if you do.
Yeah, generally speaking then, assuming that in Uppingham we have pride in where we live, is that a message that is understood by Oakham, let's say? Because I'm using Oakham because that's where the centre. I mean, is there an appreciation of context, environment, you know, quality of life and things of that nature beyond the numbers? Are genuine? Or are you saying what you're indicating is they're not getting enough information? We need to press more in that arena. Is that what you're saying?
I think they are very aware of the difference between Uppingham and Oakham, in more than one forum. And I think my push on this comes from having sat on the planning committee and actually gone through. Now at the moment we haven't got a local plan, so it falls onto neighbourhood plans. But you're sitting there and it meets planning law and it meets that, and then you look and there's nothing else. I know that we want to turn that down because they're destroying the biodiversity in that, and there is nothing within our within the rules to allow us to do that. The local plan has to give us the backing when a planning application comes forward to say this does not meet section 6.1.2d of the local plan, therefore we have grounds to turn it down.
Can I go Sam, then Godfrey, please? Sam?
Yeah, I hope the people who've written this are aware, however, that there was little chance of getting a travellers camp down Seaton Road as a snowball has in hell, as far as the residents down there are concerned. I just don't understand why it's even in there.
No, I don't understand.
I think it's just a vindictive thing to do, to put somewhere where it's relatively sort of low to middle class housing down one side and the council estate on the other. Good a way to do it is any, isn't it? But I can assure them that it won't go unnoticed.
Well, I hope you'll comment.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you. Godfrey?
Christine, could you give, say, 2 or 3, or perhaps even 4 areas that, in broad brush, that you think we and the residents could, hang a peg on to push on those issues? The issues where you say there's either nothing, a sentence, when there should be a paragraph. So 2 or 3?
I've got to be careful because we could end up on my personal hobby horse, which also happens to be part of my portfolio area. But given how long the local plan is going to be in place for, I think climate change and the impact of housing and the environment on climate change, I think it's very important to the people locally. The gentleman at the back mentioned about the issues of housing design. I think that needs to come through, and I think the environment is another area that I think it is very easy for those who are drawing up plans to ignore the environment, but it's us that has to live in it.
So
And it's our children that are going to grow up in it.
Okay.
Because the local plan, I think, Ron, you said it's something like 400 pages, isn't it?
400.
So, if people can focus on the areas that, rather than everything.
Well, I mean, there are, for example, there's a section on minerals extraction, which we don't have a lot of in Uppingham. There's the section on waste, and we don't have any anaerobic digesters in Uppingham at the moment.
So I'm going to go Ron and Peter. All right, Ron?
I mean, just quickly, assuming there's no big changes from what went through Cabinet, the 400 pages, there's probably at least 3 or 4 areas to pick up Godfrey's point that I suspect the community will get excited about. My concern's about transparency, you see, that just an hour ago we sat here and listened to a major proposal in the conservation area which County hasn't mentioned to us at all, and we're only 2 days away from the closing date of the Uppingham Neighbourhood Plan. Now, many of us might be quite supportive of it, but I would have expected it to be fed into the process. The traveller site is a statutory requirement that they look at it, but it hasn't been fed into the neighbourhood plan dialogue, it hasn't been fed to council. So my concern is about transparency, that we're supposed to be working together, and I'll end with the fact that, as I've said in various places, there's already outrage in the high street from people who know about it, that Oakham is now listed in the second local plan as the town that will serve all of Rutland and so on, and Uppingham will serve Uppingham and its hinterland. My Glow Market on the corner sells in 22 countries. We've got the top European Harley Davidson dealership. We are a worldwide trading town. Why doesn't the local plan just say Rutland has 2 towns, different sizes, we accept that, and they will both, thrive? I do not understand why there's that bias. So that's what we'll be coming back on, one of the issues anyway, because it was said in the first draft of the plan, which of course went the journey eventually.
Thank you. Peter?
No, it's just the point here about the traveller site down Seaton Road, as to whether the steer for that came from officers or came from councils.
Good question, Peter.
I haven't heard it raised in any of the local plan meetings I have been to, but you have to realise I was only elected in May.
Yes,
Mhm.
And so this process was started before
Yes.
my time.
But as a general rule of thumb, for instance, would something like that come from a steer of officers?
Yes.
Or it would come from officer steer as opposed to councillor steer?
So would it please the council, perhaps we could ask our ward member to inquire on that point and return to us with the answer at our next council meeting.
For the traveller side?
Yeah.
Yes, and the justification for it, and why in such a position. And look, we know we need, it is, places for them are needed.
We're just interested in the background, and perhaps
but
our
that
ward
is
councillor
not
could
an
find
ideal
out the
place for
background
it,
and bring it back to us. Would that find pleasure?
Yeah, certainly.
Okay, so I'm again keeping an eye on the clock tonight. So with your agreement, I'll say thank you to Christine. You'll notice, ladies and gentlemen, a slight change tonight. What we're trying to do, and we hope you like it, is we had the CAB person, we've had Christine, we're inviting them to the table so that instead of getting them to speak from the gallery, then we can ask questions. I hope you like this. If you do, please tell us. Okay. Thank you, Christine. Thank you very much. So I'll move us on. Item 8. We were to receive an up. All right, guys. Okay. We were to receive a report from the police for operational reasons. I believe our PCSO is out doing policing stuff.
Which is where she should be.
Yeah. Well, it was going to be Andy Wiley, our PCSO tonight, but he's out doing stuff that he should. You've all received a report, a written report, and so with your agreement, I'm going to say that is the update from the police. Yeah. So shall we? Could we receive that report? Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Godfrey, for seconding. Those in favour? Unanimous. And moving on. Thank you very much. Sam, would you be kind enough to take item 9,
Sure.
which is our finance reports?
Right, okay. So, yeah. Item B, authorise accounts for payments to be made on the 10th of November. So this is now, after long discussions, I think we've got it more or less right anyway. So this is payments for this month. So we've finally got there, we hope.
So if I could just say to members, the reason you've got an additional one on your table is the late ones that came in. So I didn't know whether you'd all read your emails this afternoon, so I thought it was easier to put it on your table for you.
Okay.
So could I propose that we approve the items laid before you for payment? Total value £50,053.13.
Thank you, Sam. Do I find a seconder, please? Thank you, Mark. Those in favour?
Sorry, I've lost it.
That's unanimous bar 1 abstention. Those abstaining, nobody against. Right, 1 abstention. Thank you, Sam. Back to you.
Okay.
Sorry, guys, can I?
Yeah.
Sorry,
we've
I'm
got
so,
to do, we've got
I'm
to do
so
some
sorry.
signing. I'm
Do you
sorry,
want
Sam.
to do you want to do the signing all at the end? Is that easy?
No, we'll lob it over to him. Here we are.
If you just
Lindsay. And do I have to sign it as well? Right, there'll be a...
Sorry, Sharon. Is one of what I haven't fully read that? Is one of those for the Uppingham Neighbourhood Plan website?
No, not on this list.
No. Well, who's the?
I don't know now because
Who's-
I've just
who's
given my
in?
list.
Who's the
I've just
supplier?
Clocked in.
Yes,
Well, there's a small amount, 24
Yeah, I
quid.
should second that, then I should abstain.
no.
Oh, don't worry about it.
Sorry, I've just given my copy.
So, right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to retake that vote because Mark seconded it and he shouldn't have. He's now realised that. Christine, you're going to second it. So those in favour now, so it was proposed by Sam, seconded by Christine. Those in favour, it's all bar 2 in favour. Those abstaining, 2. Thank you. Right, that coming back, Sam, is it? Just shove it across there, mate. Thank you.
Okay.
Right, Sam, back to you. And
do
what am I signing
apologise.
next to Sam, am I?
Yeah.
So, to receive the finance report for the month of September, including income and expenditure, etc., etc. Yeah, right, well, I had an up-to-date look at this, as at the end of December, Mark, not October or November. So, the position is now there's sort of 6 months since the beginning of the year, and looking at it and adjusting for salaries that we still didn't get a charge for until November, and that's why the November figure is so high. And taking into account 1 or 2 items that are seasonally variable, i.e. heating won't have happened yet and that sort of thing, it looks as though we are now, cumulatively year to date, totally break even. So we've gone from being slightly better by £5,000 to £10,000 over the last 6 months to a break even. That's really because we're with the maintenance at the moment, we are just about on a par with budget. We're not far off at all. So that could probably get worse as the year goes on. As we know, we are planning to do things, but that's the only real change, and that's the main reason why, what I can see at the moment. So break even, it will be. So, item 9C. Have I got anything to say on that?
No, sorry, Sam. I think the A's and B's have gone slightly wrong.
Yeah, they are.
So we've authorised the payments. I'm comfortable with that. Did anyone have any questions for Sam? It sounded to me like if we're breaking even, that's a triumph for budgeting in my book. So I think that sounds good. So shall we receive the finance report for the month of September? Sam, are you
I think we just
proposing
received
that?
that.
I've just done that.
I thought we authorised payments.
With authorised
Yeah, we did
payments,
that, the first one.
Yeah,
First
and
one.
And now we've moved
that
on.
was authorising payments for November.
I agree. But haven't we got to receive the finance report?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Could
Oh,
I,
yeah.
could I
Yeah.
therefore propose?
It's only because on the
Sorry.
agenda, it's
Sorry,
not your
right.
fault. On the agenda, I
Yeah.
noticed that the A's and B's have slipped
Yeah.
slightly
That's
out.
all right.
So,
Yeah.
so I'm not worrying about the numbers. I'm just saying let's receive the report. Yeah.
Yeah, so in response to item 9B, could I propose that we receive the finance report for the month of September?
Seconder, please. Godfrey, thank you. Those in favour of receiving the finance report, this time we are unanimous. Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
So I'm
again.
signing that one again, right? And I've done that. So
Okay, so
Sam needs
so I-
to sign it.
Sam, it's coming round to you, but I think you're off the hook, Sam, for the next point. I think that's the external auditors, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah.
So I believe that what we are reporting to you here is that we sent you some papers, and I know that a member of the public had been very keen to ask us where we were with our AGAR, all right? And the issue, which was interesting, I believe, and I apologise I wasn't here the night of the training because I was flying back from my holiday that night, but I believe at the training night
Thank
held
you, Sam.
recently,
Thank you.
it was brought to your attention that the external auditors have picked up a number of councils over the dates on
Yes.
putting things
Yeah.
forward. Unfortunately, we were one of those councils, but we've learnt from that, and I'm very pleased to say in the papers that you got sent to you, it quite clearly says in there, although they picked us up that we got the dates wrong, we've now corrected, getting the things done, and we have, I believe, Sam, a clear bill of health from what I could read on
Yes.
on the report.
It seems
Yeah.
happy with the.
Well, the Larout guy did say that they were being not just a bit pedantic, but extremely pedantic. So anyway, it is what
It is what it is, unfortunately.
But
But
memories, it wasn't Moores that did it last year, was it?
No.
It wasn't their
no.
new
So
auditors.
you often get this sort of thing with the regime change,
yeah,
but we have to learn.
yeah.
You know, you
Absolutely.
can live with it for 1 year. To do it to second year would be unforgivable in my book.
Yeah,
we've
so
got
we
to-
will learn from that.
Yeah.
So is everyone happy with that explanation? And if we are, I'll look perhaps to you, Sam, if you felt able to propose.
Could I propose that we receive the external auditor's report for
Thank you,
the year
Peter.
2022/23? Yes.
Seconded by Peter. All right, those in favour? And that is unanimous. Thank you very much. So we're now, thank you, Sam, for that. So we're now on to considering 2 grant aid applications. And these are, first of all, from Curtain Up. So you've all received these to look at. Did anyone wish to speak on this subject?
I have great difficulty with. I'm not that afraid with the. I'm a Apple person, so with whatever it's called, Google. So I couldn't work out, and I couldn't what they were asking for. I know what they're asking for, the figure. I mean.
Yeah, the purpose behind it.
Yeah.
So I'll try and describe it, and I did on your collective behalf. I've asked Sharon to do some extra digging for us.
Yeah.
My belief is that we're talking about the dance school that hires the
Yes.
place
I
here.
know that, yeah.
Yeah.
I know they are, yeah.
And what they are asking to do is they have an opportunity to send the kids who go to the school up to Blackpool
Yes.
to participate,
got
and they're
that.
asking for assistance with the costs of sending the kids up there. Now I'll speak from the chair, which I'll probably get told off for, but my concern was that Curtain Up is obviously a business, is someone's business. So I did ask Sharon if, but I equally understand the cultural importance of getting our little kids to go to Blackpool. I get that.
Yeah.
So I asked Sharon if she could get clarification from the business owner that the business would not be making any element of profit from this trip. And Sharon, may I ask you to respond?
So I actually emailed Helen, who is the proprietor, who is on holiday in America, but she did pick up my email and respond, and she has assured me that every bit of the money, if we were minded, you are minded to give it, would go to putting those children on that bus to get them to Blackpool. There is no profit at all going into the Curtain Up coffers, if you like. And I have that in writing from her.
So Trevor's first, and then I sense, Ron, you want to speak. So Trevor?
I looked at my opinion, I'm a bit on the back foot because as a new councillor, I'm not fully aware of the criteria for applications for grants. I'm sure I need to be guided on that. Because I think an experience of looking at these sort of applications, you unless you know the criteria. But so what I'm going to say next is not based on. I thought the application was quite thin, to be honest with you. The answers to me were not that persuasive. But if somebody can prove otherwise in the line of the criteria, I'm prepared to listen to them. I was put on the back foot of the business. That's sort of been explained. The amount requested, again, if this is a situation we understand our criteria and providing a contribution, then maybe I would be more inclined. But without any, my first impression, I just felt it lacked. I thought it was a bit thin. It wasn't very persuasive in my view.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Trevor. Ron, and then Sam. I think you. Yeah. So Ron.
2 points from my point of view. First of all, the balance sheet looks astonishing. Lots of issues and problems in that, so it's a small drop in the ocean that we've been at. On the positive side, if there's a chance for kids in this town to perform in the Blackpool Tower at a national event, then I would have said, I'm amazed they've only asked for 20 quid, because if I understood correctly, they've all got to have a t-shirt and another 25 quid. There's various other things you've got to have. So I was slightly puzzled, perhaps they're just being real, but yeah, I hear what Trevor says, but I think my view is it would be nice to be part of getting the kids there, accepting that, presumably we're going to pay the entry fee, it looks like, but I'm assuming parents or somebody else is going to be asked for the other costs.
I'm going Sam, then Peter. All right,
so
Sam.
I've read it, but how much were they asking for?
£680.
680, which you've calculated, Ron, at £20 per child, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay, I misunderstood.
Yeah.
I was thinking,
That makes sense.
Yeah. Why are we debating 20 quid? No, 680.
What are we debating here?
Yeah.
No, that would
yes.
still leave us with 2,000 quid in the
Yeah. So
in the kitchen for the rest of the year, which I think
So what I'll just bring to everyone's, thank you, Sharon's brought it to my attention, I'm not particularly clever on this, but it says, so what she's saying is there's each child or dancer takes part, it has a £20 entrance fee, and there will be additional costs such as costumes, transport, etc. Okay, so that's what she's asking for, and then she's asking for a grand total of £680. Yeah, so she's effectively, Ron, you're absolutely right. What she's asking us for is the 20 quid entry for 34 children, and she's saying that the others will pay for the transportation costumes. Right, so you're asked specifically for the money. So, sorry, that's going to be Christine and then Lindsay.
How
Christine.
many of the children are from Uppingham?
I don't know, it doesn't say in there.
If it helps council, Helen uses this built-in all the while. She's in 3 times a week. how she initially brought it up with me, and it's much like the conversation you had earlier on. Uppingham is seen as very affluent, but there are those children who come from families that can't afford that £20. So it's sort of excluding, if you like, the children that come from less well-off families. And that's how she initially, before this even came in, explained it to me, which is why I put it in front of you.
Lindsay's next, then Ron, and then Trevor. Right, Lindsay.
So I didn't print off all the other schedules, but so what's the total cost per child and who's paying the rest?
£20 per child.
Entry. No, total cost.
£680.
No.
We don't know the answer.
So I believe the answer is we don't know, Lindsay. So what we want to know is, and that's back to Trevor's point, what's the total cost of this trip, including the transportation, the costumes?
Some of the children who have more wealthy family, whatever word you want to put on it, more affluent families, they will be paying for their own children. So I don't have a total global cost of everybody going, because it's not about that. It's about the children that can't afford.
I think that's a fairly basic piece of information,
It is.
which should actually be backing up the
Okay,
application.
there.
I'm going to add something.
Right, Ron, you're next, then Trevor.
Two final points for me. One is, most people who perform at late night shopping at the feast send a bill, and these people perform at no cost. So for me, that's a tick in the box on a big community event. I suppose the other is, what a marvellous PR opportunity for the council. Let it be known that the town council supports 30 odd of our kids getting a national opportunity in Blackpool Tower. You know, it's good news story we should try and tell.
Okay, Trevor, and then I'm going to ask us to go to a vote. Yeah.
I think my initial comments were moved by audio, and I sat in a police and crime commissioner's seminar, and I raised the point along the lines of, to my mind, that they were being asked, you're being asked to enormous hoops for what is sums of money, okay? So I understand that point of view. However, if we were subject to an external audit, we still have to pay a similar amount of attention. Now, I'm on the back foot because I don't know the criteria, okay, the full criteria. But however, what the town clerk has just changed my opinion. If that's not reflected in the application, clearly, if what you're suggesting is that this is to help, children that are less well off. I mean, that changes the whole nature of the application.
Yeah.
That needs to be reflected in there, and that's probably going to more easily gain my support.
Okay, we're going for Godfrey last, and then I am going to go for a vote. Yeah.
Well,
Godfrey.
the only thing I'm going to say is that, do we know that some of these children are from less affluent backgrounds? Because if they are, performing arts students who tend to be kind of self-selecting and from reasonably comfortable backgrounds, then we're subsidising people who don't need subsidising. So, but I mean, I'm sympathetic to the overall aspect. However, just on the profit bit, because we're paying for something, that will mean that their expenditure will be less. So you could take a view on the profit issue. What might be sensible, if there is time, is to go back to this person and ask her specifically, are there a significant number of kids who couldn't go as a consequence of?
Yeah.
Okay. So
and what was the total cost of the scheme?
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you, Sam. I didn't mean to. Sorry.
And if we know the date of this event,
It's April next year.
April next year. Right. So could somebody kindly give me a proposal then? Because sorry, Mike.
And how many from Uppingham?
Yeah.
Right. So Sam, you look like you're going to give me a nice proposal.
I propose that we defer the decision on this until we get a response from
Helen. Yeah.
So may I just ask you, I'm sensing that we are minded to make some help if possible. Could we actually indicate that we're minded to give some help? I'm not saying all help, some help. But we have a number of questions, and specifically Sharon's got the questions tonight, so, and then, sorry.
2 questions.
Yeah.
Overall cost.
Yeah.
Oh, so by all means, well, it's Sam's proposal. I just wondered if you would be minded to put something in to say we are. I just thought we would send some sort of message of support back.
Why?
Because I personally feel that I like the idea of encouraging the kids of Uppingham to do so. That's why. Yeah. So, sorry, Sam. What's your proposal then, so that we defer with these extra questions? Trevor.
Can I just ask a question on pure practicalities? We've debated a lot on an amount of 420 quid. And this is me being
680, but 680.
Have we not got a grant subcommittee where?
No, grants have to be agreed. Must be signed by full council. Right. So Sam, I'm going to move us on because I've got a big item coming up that I've promised Godfrey half an hour on. I've got to manage the time. So Sam, you've proposed. Do I find a seconder? Godfrey. Those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you. Right. The next item, I believe. So the next item is the late night shopping revised grant application. Those who declared interest at the training, do you need to leave the room for this, or are you happy to?
Well, yeah, it'd probably be wise, Chair,
just asking the question. I realise the Chair has no ability to require you. I was paying attention during that training. There you go. Right, so this one, if you recall, we were asked to help with late night shopping. We indicated that we would be prepared to do so, but we had a number of questions around specifically, I think I was one of the prime movers on this, was around who we lend or who we giving the money to, and have they got all the necessary safeguarding policies, insurance policies, all that kind of stuff. So Sharon has gone back, and there's an email I've seen today, excuse me, where basically we obviously now know that the late night shopping, this says, is this the original one or is this the revised one?
Sorry if I can help.
Please help.
So what I did was I went back to I've just forgotten her name. Paula, thank you. Paula and Libby, who are the main movers and drivers, as I can understand it, for late night shopping. And I basically said to them, we were minded to help you, but there were no meat on the bones, a bit like you're saying for the other one. So I've asked them to provide answers to the questions that they just said yes to. So they've now sent through, and I sent it to you this afternoon, the actual management plan. So we know there's a management plan, we know there's a child safeguarding policy, so we know that they've gone into it in depth, and we have it, and that was sent literally at about 2 o'clock this afternoon after I've been chasing it all, which that gives you as council the security, if you like, that we've gone into due process, and we've checked it. We just haven't said yes, we believe you. Not that we didn't believe them.
Thank you, Sharon.
Yeah.
Peter?
It came through and I read it and I was quite happy with it.
Good.
As long as Sharon is happy with it as our legal officer, so to speak. But it ticked all the boxes, certainly where the child safety and the insurance and everything should. Touchwood doesn't, but should anything happen. So I'm happy with that.
So may I, on that basis, may I then invite you, Peter, if you're happy, would you feel able to give me a proposal?
Just one before we go.
Sorry. Yes, sorry, Sam.
How much are we looking for?
Hang on a moment, I should just look again.
I think we previously agreed 1,500.
I think we agreed 1,500, didn't we?
I believe it.
Yeah, 1,500.
Sam. So
I mean, I'm quite happy to propose that.
Thank you, Peter.
If it finds a second.
Does it find a seconder? Pat. Pat was first up with the hand there, so Pat's your seconder. Those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you. Would somebody be kind enough to bring our colleagues back?
When we're considering grants, it's really helpful just to have a schedule to show what we've already approved.
We agree.
Yeah.
We agree. Yes.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. Right. Thank you. Oh, right. Well, I'm going to press on without him because we're actually, in fairness, I know that I haven't done 9E. While Mark's out the room, I'm going to do 10 with your agreement as chair, which is to consider further quotation of the kitchen refurbishments, because I know that Mark was involved with. Oh, he's back now. You're back. Yeah. Do you, Mark, I'm just going to ask, do you need to leave the room again for 10 about these kitchen refurbishments?
No, it
That's
doesn't.
11 on
No.
mine.
No.
Is it?
10 is to consider the reply from the financial ombudsman.
See, mine's 9E, Peter.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Mine's 10.
Right,
Mine says 10.
moving on to considering right. I'm going to keep us going.
Mine's
Consider the reply from the financial ombudsman. Right, the reply was, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, reply was, the ombudsman will not take the case up because he doesn't act on behalf of town and parish councils.
I read that.
Right. So what you have is we have our money back from Barclays. Yeah, our money's back, and we've been offered £100 to go away and stop being annoying. I think it's derisory, but I am also conscious of poor Sharon's time, and my feeling is let's suck this one up and go take the £100 and move on. It does, Peter. So, do I find a proposer along those lines? Thank you, Mark. A seconder, please, is Mike. Those in favour? It is unanimous. We are done on that. Agree entirely. Right. Whatever number we're meant to be on, we're on. We're doing revised quotes for the kitchen.
Yeah.
Godfrey, gird yourself. We're nearly to your item. So, kitchen. If you remember, we decided that we would ask for 2 additional quotes for the refurbing of the kitchen.
Yeah.
Sharon?
Part of it, would you like me to pick it
Yeah.
up?
Yes, I would, Mark, please.
Yeah. So after some challenges, me in time and getting quotes, and with the help of Sharon's husband David, we've managed to get some rough quotes from Wren and Wicks, which have both come in at similar figures to the supply only from Howdens, within just £100 or so, coincidentally. So my recommendation, as before, would be to use Howdens. The reason I'm recommending Howdens is you have 3 or 4 warehouses locally where they have the components if something should go wrong, and we should proceed with Howdens. That would be my proposal. Does that seek a second? Any questions? Sorry.
Can I ask through you, Chair,
Yes.
how much is the quote for Howdens?
It's £8,355.43 plus VAT.
And they are, for you, Chair, they are all for supply only.
They're all supplying.
Right.
And if you remember, we were getting a third party to fit them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I personally would, having just purchased a bloody expensive kitchen from Howdens, I have actually had fantastic service from Howdens. What I like about it is if you've got bits left over, like an IKEA kit, they take them back and they credit you. And if you haven't got enough bits, they send them to you. So I found them to be very, very good. The quality is excellent. So personally, I would go with Howdens, if Mark's happy to recommend that.
I recommend that. Yeah.
And did we find a seconder? That sound, Trevor?
I've got experience dealing with Howdens as well, so
Yeah.
on that basis, I'm happy to
Okay,
second.
so those in favour, please. That is unanimous. Thank you very much. Right, next item. I promised Godfrey half an hour for this, so it's now just gone quarter past. If we don't need half an hour, Godfrey, that'd be splendid.
I'll try and...
So may I steal 30 seconds of your time, because I did want to do an introduction. So this is, first of all, I wanted to say thank you to Godfrey, who, along with colleagues, which did include me, but I'm not thanking myself, have put an awful lot of work into looking through the standing orders. And what I found particularly helpful, which I think you've all had, is the paper that Godfrey, a one-page paper that Godfrey sent you, in which he's actually highlighted to you what the main changes are. And I found that particularly helpful. Godfrey, I've got a full set of your standing orders here and your thing, but if you would like to take this part of the meeting, let's talk us through it.
Okay, thanks. So the standing orders working party met, I think, 4 or 5 times maybe. Generally, it was very positive, and there was general agreement on most things. There were 1 or 2 little areas of contention that council can make a decision on. What we've done, we've removed all gender-specific terminology to make it more modern. We've altered the font, I think, to make it more readily readable. Tidied up some grammar, spelling, and punctuation. And because of the nature of that, there's been some slight numbering changes. And what we agreed to do was to follow the NALC model, and that was to show any aspects with statutory force in bold, and we've also adopted a colour coding system, which I've done in a very rudimentary way on committees, as opposed to the tick system that we had previously. We thought that was more user-friendly, so these are both as per the NAB model. We agreed to park aspects of the neighbourhood NPAG, and the working party would like to continue looking at that as the neighbourhood plan goes into its further development phase. I suppose, I don't know, Chair, do we need to agree that?
Yes,
to park
yes,
it?
we will.
So can I propose that we park the NPAG elements and let standing orders?
Yeah. What we were going to say, just to explain that very briefly, is that the section in here about NPAG, we propose at this point in time just to stick with what we currently got, but to authorise this working party. I think there's a whole question about, once the new neighbourhood plan is made in February, let's say, what do you want NPAG to do? What do you want it to look like? What do you want it to do going forward? I think there's a whole raft of work to be done around what NPAG might look like. Now, Godfrey is suggesting this existing working party could pick up that work, but that's not to exclude if others feel that they would like to join that working party and widen it out. But the basis of tonight is just stick with what you've got for the standing orders, in the knowledge that we're going to do some work and bring it back to council about what NPAG should look like in the future. Yeah?
I'll propose that we park it.
Okay.
No, second that.
Thank you, Peter.
That was my only question was, what was the definition of parking?
Yeah, so I've just explained that, yeah. So should we take, so it's Godfrey and Peter seconded that we're going to stick, yeah? Those in...
Shall we call it remit?
Oh God, no, don't use big words on me. Right, those in favour? Sam, how are you on that? Yeah. And that's right, you've got that one. Thank you, that's unanimous. Godfrey, back to you.
Right, so the things that we need to decide upon are first and foremost, and what I've done is I've put on, if you have to have the standing orders with you or on the computer, the bits in red, and the first bits in red are 2.29, and basically we discussed whether the standing orders, as we call the standing orders, are all muddled up in one document, when in fact there's only part of it that is actually the standing orders. So what we have is a constitution, or I think, Ron, you prefer the term scheme of delegation, but I'm not ready to, what we call it. We could keep it constitution or scheme of delegation. Then we've got the standing orders, and we've used the NAB model quite extensively. And then we've got the code of conduct, and then we've got communication policy. It's all, in one document, and not terribly rational, I don't think. I mean, what I would suggest, and I think I've mentioned this before, is that if we have certainly on file and on the website a suite of policies, that we can easily delineate between what is what. And I suppose we need a vote on that as well, I would imagine.
Yeah, so I'm just going to take some advice from our clerk, but yes, are we happy with that?
So if you go on to our website, you'll see current policies, and that's where they all sit.
Yeah,
so,
but I think what Godfrey's suggested is this document should be split into headed sections, aren't
different documents.
But your code of conduct, you council actually went with the NELT code of conduct, and it went through a resolution last year, and that sits separately on your website.
But isn't that what Godfrey's saying? After you, Godfrey.
Well, can I just make a point? The code of conduct that's on the current standing orders differs quite markedly.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be there.
From the code of conduct that was shown to us by the lab. And later on, you'll see that I will recommend that, along with NPAG, the working party should look at the code of conduct and just tweak it for Uppingham local elements, because in essence it's written for us, and it's much more detailed than the one that we have parked towards the end of our standing orders.
It shouldn't be on your standing orders. That's why I've separated
I think, Sharon,
it
that's
already.
what Godfrey's saying.
Yeah.
I think you two are actually agreeing, but you just don't know at the minute. Yeah. I think you are agreeing. So Godfrey, your proposal is that we do separate the current document into specific areas. Yeah. Are you okay with that?
Well, I am, but it's already done.
That's fine. So if you'd like to propose,
it isn't on print. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It isn't already done on print.
Well, let's take a vote. So, Godfrey, would you like to propose that we split it into these? Does that find a seconder? Who wanted to do that? Mike.
So to be clear,
yes.
we're going to regard them as separate documents for the moment.
Yes.
Because there's a new code of conduct coming nationally, there's big work going on.
Yes.
So if they're separate documents, we can deal with them separately.
Correct.
And
That
one of them together.
It makes sense to me. Yeah. Are you comfortable with what we're doing?
I am, but it's already there.
That's cool. Right. Those in favour of that proposal, please indicate. That is unanimous. Right, Godfrey, back onto you.
Right. Okay. Also, I'm sure these do sit on the website. I mean, I'm quite happy, that all these things are sitting on the website separately, but in print they're not. And of course, I've got a question actually. Have we got the staff handbook yet, or do we have the staff handbook?
Is it work in progress?
That's something that staffing committee were going to take back. There are a multitude of separate emails. There isn't a physical document.
Right.
I think in some point in the past, and I'm sort of looking at people that have been on the staffing committee for a little while, it was decided that a staffing handbook wouldn't be a book. It would be just emails. I don't think that works.
Well, can I suggest, Chair, that that's remitted to the staffing committee,
Absolutely.
and that we address that at the staffing committee,
Absolutely.
and work to produce a coherent staffing handbook.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure what you mean by emails, but a lot of this did come up during COVID when we were trying to work out.
That's true. That was difficult then.
It was very difficult.
For example, when you employed me, I haven't got a staff handbook.
Okay.
I was actually told to look online.
Okay, so let's
Right,
take.
we're not talking about emails, we're talking about it just being an online thing.
Online or
hang on, guys.
emails, yeah.
Hang on,
It
guys.
was it was very woolly, shall we say?
Right, so Ron.
So, Chair, as I understand, many of the components are there, but they're in various formats and so on. And ideally, yes, they should be in a book, stroke document, stroke publication.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what we need to achieve as a staffing committee.
So we're going to propose, I think, that we ask the staffing committee to coordinate a staff handbook from existing data. Yeah? Is that fair?
Yeah.
So that's a proposal. Peter seconded that one. Those in favour of that, please. Unanimous. Right, go on, Godfrey.
Thank you. So now we move on to the bits in red. We've agreed that we move the communication policy now because we've agreed that we're going to separate it, and we've agreed that parking MPAG elements. Right, so 2116. Just bear with me 1 minute.
Right. I've got it, Godfrey.
You got it?
Yeah, 16. It's 2.1.16. So have you found it, Godfrey?
Yeah.
So basically, what it says at the moment is a point of order. A point of order shall be decided by the chair of the meeting, and their decision shall normally be final. And Godfrey's suggesting, adding in red after that, he wants the ability. And it's fair to say, isn't it? I'm not being funny here, Godfrey. It's fair to say that this is a point that the committee was split on, isn't it?
It was.
So there were 2 people in favour of what Godfrey's proposing and 3 people against it. All right. So Godfrey feels, and the other person felt, that the ruling that there should be the ability to challenge the chair, and he's proposing a mechanism that you could put forward a motion to say, no, we don't agree with you, Chairman, and we would go for a vote. Now, I realise I'm in a strange position tonight as I'm sitting in this chair. My own feeling on this is that I'll invite Godfrey to explain why he wants to bring that in. I'm going to be honest and say Sharon is not keen on it from a legal perspective, and I'll invite Sharon to put her point of view. And then if we still need to at the end, I'm going to say, I believe I can actually see both points of view. And I think there is actually an existing mechanism, hopefully, to address your concerns. But Godfrey, why did you want to introduce
a
this?
number of jurisdictions and organisations have this. I mean, I come from a trade union background, and it's standard practice. And it's kind of more democratic. I mean, the times that it might be used will be very, very, very few and far between. But I can imagine that at some stage there might be, a dispute where the ruling is challenged. I mean, I'm trying to second guess that you're going to say that you could suspend standing orders anyway, or and I think that's probably what you think. But I just think it's a more democratic thing. It would be used, I would imagine, very, very infrequently, and it's more democratic.
Thank you. And Sharon, why do you feel we should leave it as it is?
I think you should leave it as it is, because at the time that you elect your chairman, sorry, yeah, fell down that path. At the time you elect your chair, you give your chair responsibilities, and that is one of your responsibilities that you allocate to your chair, to have that decision. I think what David is going to say, and I've probably taken the words out of his mouth now, is you do have the ability to challenge that by coming to me as the clerk and saying, we don't agree with that. So you do have that ability to actually challenge any decision. But I don't think you should take away that right. You elect your chairman, 15 of you agree to elect your chairman to give their opinion. And that's the role and responsibility of a chairman. We went through all those ORAL training courses where, that was basically said to you.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. Peter?
What Sharon's suggesting, though, would be after the event.
Absolutely it would.
Well,
it would be after the meeting.
But what you're basically saying is your chair isn't capable of making a sound decision.
Hang on. Right. So Mike, and then I'd like to go. So I'll go Mike, then me.
You're not saying that you isn't capable of making a decision. You just don't agree with it, and you don't give all power to one person. You should be able to challenge that in a meeting as a group rather than afterwards.
So my answer was going to be that I actually perceived, I agree entirely with Godfrey that this is going to be a very rare occurrence. I was trying to think up some examples of where the chair might give a ruling that we might collectively all disagree with. And I thought the kind of rulings that the chair can make are, in my opinion, are only matters of fact, aren't they? So, for example, it might say in the standing orders that there has to be 4 of you there to make it quorum, and the chair goes, no, we'll carry on, I know there's only 3 of us, and the rest of you go, well, no, that's absolutely wrong. And then you would turn to the proper officer at that time and go, Sharon, what is your ruling on this? And that, so you've got a mechanism there. The bit I don't think any of us can deal with, the chair, as I understand it, the chair's role is to chair the meeting and make sure the meeting runs in accordance with the standing orders, which we've all collectively agreed. The bit that we might disagree with anyone who happens to be chair is, of course, when it comes down to them participating in a debate, they may have a different opinion, but as long as they're not ruling based on their opinion, they can only rule based on the standing orders, can't they?
On talking of the standing orders, one of the things that might a chair might be challenged on is the suspension of standing orders.
No, we have to vote on that, Godfrey. The chair can't suspend a standing order.
No, okay. Right.
No, that has to be voted on. So Ron, then Peter, and then Ron.
Chair, I mean, just speaking from experience, the chair is normally about procedural motions rather than a policy matter in council and so on.
Sure.
And it sounds attractive to say it's more democratic, but I think you might open that can of worms for future councils if we didn't have a positive group of people like we've got on the table at the moment. So I would be surprised if we took legal advice, if the lawyers advised the power to overrule the chair. Because, for example, the chair has to have the power to bring a meeting to an end. If there's unruly behaviour, maybe in a public gathering, nothing to do with members and so on, the chair has to have some powers because they are legally responsible for the lawful conduct of that meeting. That's what the law says. And therefore, I think, rightly or wrongly, you do have to give them that final opportunity. Members can move a 2-member procedural motion and come back in all sorts of other ways. But I think I'm pretty confident that's what the legal people would say.
Thank you.
So I wouldn't support the change, although I understand the intent.
Yeah. Peter.
Just something that Sharon said about the chair, that we wouldn't have just in the chair to make a decision. I don't think it's anything to do with he or she making a decision. It's about whether there's poor judgment involved in that decision, and that needs to be brought to attention, because the two for me are very different.
Yeah, I agree entirely with you, Peter, on that. I don't think it's about. I agree with you. It's whether or not. So, is there a mechanism in place currently that if the chair makes a ruling that the rest of us go, well, actually, that's not in keeping with the standing orders. Is there a mechanism that we can deal with it? And I'd put it to you, I believe there is, for the rare occasions. 1, on the night, we would talk to the clerk. And 2, as Ron's point out, we always have the 2-member
we do.
Position. So I personally, and I'm keeping a consistent position here, Godfrey, aren't I? In committee, I argued against this.
Yeah.
I personally wouldn't support going further than we've already got, because I believe that we have sufficient mechanisms here. But we will need to vote on this if you would like to. So how do you want to play this? Do you want to vote that we?
Well, I'll propose the amendment, and if I get a seconder, then we'll vote on it.
Can I, sorry,
Yeah.
may I just
So
ask about
yes,
the
and then I'm
legality
going to
point?
yeah.
Isn't that crucial? to
So
this?
Sharon, do you think it's legal on what Jeffrey is proposing?
Godfrey.
I'm so sorry, Godfrey. Sorry.
Started
Sorry,
with a G.
I'm sorry. No, apologies.
It is legal. You are able to write your own standing orders.
Yeah.
You that is your right. So yes, you can.
It's not in bold on
No.
the standing order.
Yeah.
Trevor?
I just want to make an observation and ask a question, because I read this and I can understand the two sides to this. And clearly, you could be accused of kicking the can down the road, because you vest your chairman with the authority And again, being a new councillor, as I see it, they're having to interpret the standing orders. Now, we've got the standing orders in front of us. We're pretty intelligent enough to understand whether or not they're doing that properly. But my next question would be, what is the mechanism? Because clearly, if we don't approve this, then the mechanism is to go to the town clerk. Can you very briefly tell us? You know, obviously we report to you. What's the next stage if we truly believe that the chair, you know, is not interpreting, you know, is not ruling correctly?
So I would look at the law and make sure that the law has been followed. That's my job, to make sure that happens. It's hard because you haven't got an instance where you can make an actual ruling on. But yeah, it will be to look at me. I will interpret the law. If I struggle with interpreting the law, then I have LRALC that I can ask the question of. So there's always somewhere for me to go if I can't interpret the law, to either my satisfaction or yours.
Okay. But this is purely an interpretation of how the standing orders are viewed.
It'll be procedural, Trevor.
Yeah.
It'll be
It's a procedural thing, linked. And I've got the whole standing orders in front of me. And I need to read them again. But that's what I need to understand to make them informed.
I mean, some councils actually have the standing orders in front of them at every meeting, and nothing happens because you get bogged down in thinking, well, can I do that? Can I not do that? It's got to be a process that works. Yeah. So it's got to be common sense, if you like.
Right. I read the rules of debate. Okay, sensible. No, I think the rules are sensible. So my judgment would be that, you know, unless we're fools, we would have hopefully elected a chairman that would have been able to interpret those.
Yeah.
But then my next, obviously, from Godby's point of view, he wants a fail-safe. Yeah. And I'm also looking at from the practical aspect. We always look. What I've learned, we always look to the town clerk because of her experience, and also then she also has another review to experts who we've already heard from.
Okay,
so
I don't want to stifle.
I'm trying to get an informed judgment here. That's all.
I don't want to stifle the debate. I'm conscious of the time. This is important. Ron can make a point, and then we've got a proposal. And so Ron.
So, Chair, 2 points from me, and I'll shut up. One is, I do think it's a good example where we should listen to our legal officer, which is the town clerk. So even if things were 50-50, at the end of the day, I think we should take the advice. The second is, I do not believe that the council can pass a motion which will potentially overrule the lawful requirements of the chair. The chair is responsible in law for the conduct of the meeting in the way that the clerk is responsible for the agenda. And you could conceive of a situation where somebody can say, well, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that, and pass a motion which effectively goes against the law. So my view, if council suggests this change, I would ask the clerk to refer it to the lawyers immediately anyway, because I just think we're going to bump into the law. Okay. And it's one of those situations, hopefully it'll never happen.
Okay. So Peter, would you like, can Peter have the last word? Because I would like us to vote.
I just want to know where Ron gets the opinion, and it's only an opinion I think, rather than coming from knowledge, that by law, and I mean by law, the chair has that law, is lawfully empowered to do that. And I mean lawfully.
Yeah. So, if in doubt, again, go to the route. It's about the lawful conduct of a meeting is the legal responsibility of the chair. It's the mayor and a full council, it's a chair in a committee. That's what the law says, my opinion, but I'm quite happy for the clerk to go and check that.
Joffrey.
I'm just going to make a quick point, then I'll put the proposal.
Yeah.
I don't agree with you, Ron. It's nothing to do with the law. The standing, as Sharon rightly says, any council can write its own standing orders. And if it's not interfering with the bold elements that have statutory force, they can pretty much do anything they want. I mean, hopefully we wouldn't do anything silly. But, you know, Sharon made reference to some councils that have got Byzantine standing orders that have them in front of them at every juncture. I propose that.
So you're proposing that we adopt this. Does that find a second? It finds Mike. Right. So those who want to change the standing orders as per Godfrey and Mike, please indicate now. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in favour. Those who want to vote against it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 against it.
I'm abstaining because I think we do need clarity on the legality, and why don't we just defer this and get that and come back?
Well, because that wasn't the proposal unless Godfrey wants to defer it.
I mean, by all means, we'll check the legality post, but it's passed, isn't it?
Yeah, you wish to abstain or?
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Okay, so
we're
it's
going to check it anyway, are we?
No,
because there's not a proposal.
Not unless
there.
you want to. No. So are you happy that
you need to get a referred to lawyer?
Well, at the moment, I'm going to ask Lindsay how she wants to vote, because 6 have voted for, 5 have voted against, and if you want it sending off for lawyers, that wasn't part of the proposal, was it, Godfrey?
No.
So how say you, Lindsay?
Well, I'll vote. If I vote against, it's 6-all, isn't it?
It's 6-all.
And then what do we do?
Then lucky me gets to make the casting vote.
But you still have to vote.
I voted already.
He's
I voted
voting,
against.
but as the chairman,
so
legally, he
6-6,
has
it'll be a tie,
casting vote.
Yeah. And my casting vote will. But so have you voted that way, for the record?
I think I must do, because there is a query over legality.
Okay, so I would say my casting vote is to vote against the proposal, but to ask. I'm going to immediately make a secondary proposal.
Yeah.
That this matter, we ask our clerk to refer this matter, and also, Godfrey, I think we're going to have the same thing later on.
Yeah, we will. Yeah.
So are you happy if I put the two together?
No.
No, I'll do them separately.
Yeah.
All right, so on this matter, 2.1.6, so the vote as you put forward tonight is lost because of my casting vote, but I immediately propose that we ask the clerk to seek advice from Laralk.
Second.
Thank you, Godfrey. And then we'll return with that advice to the council. How is that?
Yep.
How say you to that proposal? Those in favour?
That's why I'm voting against it.
Yes, that's fine.
The reason.
Okay, so now we've got a unanimous and we know where we're going. Godfrey, back to you. Have I still got time?
This
Yes.
is 2.3.6. It's regarding the public participation, and it's just a little bit at the end, which says members of the public consent to their name and representation being minuted. It wasn't in standing orders before, but common practice is that we do that anyway.
Sounds sensible to me.
I'll propose it then.
Seconded? In favour? This is the name of the members of the public.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, unanimous.
Okay. The 2313 and 2313A, I've had to call it 13A. The standing orders that we had were, and I don't think we discussed this at working party. So if you want to kick it out, that's fine. But the old standing orders were absolutely dense and not very clear. And we're talking about all sorts of things. And these two were taken directly from NALC, word for word, and actually deal with the issue of reporting on a meeting. And it's quite complicated because there are certain restrictions, and the previous standing orders were an absolute and utter mess. And we should have picked it up, I think, as a working.
Sounds fine. Personally, it sounds fine to me.
I mean, do have a read of it and be comfortable with it before propose it.
Is everyone comfortable with that?
I propose it then, Chair.
Yeah, I'll second you on that. Those in favour? Unanimous. Right.
We go to 297.
Yeah.
This is one of the controversial ones, which is in some ways not dissimilar to our previous discussion, whereby we challenge, or potentially challenge, and again I would hope that this was rare. It says, subject to Standing Order 295, the decision of the proper officer as to whether or not to include the motion on the agenda shall be final, and then this is the additional bit. However, this may be challenged by a motion that the ruling not be upheld. There'll be one speech in favour and against, and the decision not to uphold shall require a simple majority. Now, I don't know whether you accept this, Sharon, but this proposal was made prior to some shenanigans that we had at a junction not so far away, where we were, I had a proposal that putting it in other words, disapprove of certain membership of an organisation. Interestingly enough, at the training event the other day, when I asked whether that would be legal, what the Lauk guy said, well, he said, what was the point? And which was, absolutely fair question. The point was to represent some disgruntled electors. But what he clearly didn't say was that it was illegal. So what I'm proposing is that where there is a difficulty, that the clerk put on the agenda and in brackets put disputed, and then that would be after the procedural elements of the meeting. There would be a vote on whether and the person who is challenging would make a speech, and I'm sure that the proper officer would make a speech, and then we would vote on it.
Okay, thank you. Christine, you wanted to speak?
Yeah, at that same meeting, I asked this specific question: is there any organisation that a councillor cannot be a member of whilst they are a councillor? And the direct answer was no.
Yeah. So I think Godfrey, you're going to say
But that's not the question. I mean, I don't know why you keep mentioning that. Well, because that was not what the motion was saying.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, can I make a suggestion, Godfrey, to you, which is, would you be happy for a proposal that says we send this same point to Larauk and ask them to rule on it in the same way? So we defer this one like we did the previous one, and then bring back the answer and debate it. So we then have the Larauk written.
I think that's a sensible approach, Chair, but I would very much prefer to have a vote first.
Okay.
And for it to be
and
lost.
see if we end up. Well, don't know. We don't know. I cannot predict how it would go.
So can I propose it?
All right. So you propose it.
I'll second it.
Peter will second it. So those in favour of just simply adopting it without sending it anywhere, okay?
So can you explain exactly what the problem is? Why are you asking for this to be changed?
Because
the ability to challenge the proper officer.
It's a challenge to the proper officer.
Yeah.
And the proper officer rightly says, we're here to challenge, we're part of our role is to be challenged. And we are the council, and we are the decision makers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's again, I can't think of the times that it would be likely that this would come up. It would be fairly rare.
I
but
genuinely
might be somebody
understand.
with particularly strong feelings, and I was one of them after we talked about that. And Chair, you did support it in the working party.
I'm sorry, I did not. It was
yes, you did.
No. No, I absolutely did not.
Oh, yes, you did.
No, I'm sorry, you can't do. So I'm going to make a ruling,
right?
Which is you can't. We didn't record those meetings, did we?
No, we didn't.
So it's your recollection, with great respect to you, against my recollection, and I'm going to say to you that this is not something that I personally will support, but I absolutely respect the right of others to vote on it and to put forward their views. So we have a proposal which I believe was you, Godfrey. I believe, was it Peter who seconded it? So those who want to amend the standing orders to include the item in red at 2.9.7, please will you now show me? Those in favour.
So this is no referral to the RALC.
With no referral to the RALC. Same scenario as last time.
Okay.
So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in favour. Those against? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in favour. It's a tie. Again, I use my casting vote to vote against the proposal, and I immediately propose that we refer this matter to the RALC for an opinion, which should then be brought back before the council. Would I find a seconder for that, please? Godfrey, you want to second that?
Well, one can second.
I don't mind.
Well, I think we give Ron. I think it does. With great, but no, I'll explain why, Ron. Because we're referring to the RALC, and you normally.
Yeah, I shouldn't do. I suppose.
No.
Yes, I've got
So Godfrey.
Sort of an interest. You do it.
Those in favour of that proposal?
Yeah.
Unanimous. Thank you. Now we are Godfrey. We've got about 7 odd minutes, so we are going to extend.
We're nearly done.
Okay, but don't let me run out of time because I've got.
Can I quickly ask another question? Is
Yes.
that okay? So when it comes back from the RALC,
Yeah, we're
will
going to
it go
debate
back-
it again.
Will it go back on the agenda?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If
Right.
Clark wants to put it on.
Godfrey, over
Right.
to you.
2.12.5. It says upon a resolution which confirms the accuracy of the minutes of a meeting, the draft minutes or recordings of the meeting for which approved minutes exist shall be destroyed. Now, we didn't discuss this at working party, and I'm sorry, I just pick when you go through the standing orders, so often you pick these things up. Do we really want a clause like that? And if we do, where would the records exist?
So sorry, why is it in Godfrey? I don't understand.
Well, I don't understand it. I highlighted it because it is.
So it's in our existing minutes. It's in our existing minutes. And the question is, do we need it?
I'll second that.
Yeah, I can't see any reason why we wouldn't need it. Sharon, you don't? No, those in favour of removing this? It's unanimous.
Right. Okay. Right, that was 12.5, wasn't it? I've asked a question about the
Staff handbook,
yeah. And the communication policy and the code of conduct. Should we adopt the RALC model shared at the training event? And all those issues are resolved.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Yes, Godfrey, thank you for leading us through that. I think that's So what we should now say, I think we should have a proposal that says we are going to adopt the standing orders subject to the changes that we've made tonight. Yeah? Agreed?
Yeah.
So would you like the honour of proposing that, Godfrey?
I will propose it.
Peter's second. So we're going to adopt the standing orders subject to the changes we've proposed tonight and the deferred items. Yeah. Those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I apologise to you for doing this, but I think we're going to have to ask to extend the meeting. So I would like to propose, please, that we extend our meeting. Shall we say and try and finish at 9:15? Would that be acceptable? Thank you, Peter. Those in favour? That is unanimous. Right, we'll crack on then. So, Sharon, your clerk's report was, rather than ask Sharon to read it out, has everyone received it? Does anyone have any questions for Sharon? Yes, sorry, Ray. Yeah.
I raised some points with Sharon about the 2 training sessions that we had in October.
Yeah.
I attended the first. I decided not to attend the second. I don't know whether I'm completely alone in making this point, but I found the first session absolutely exhausting. I don't question the validity of the information that was being put forward for one moment. I just thought there was so much being put forward, you couldn't absorb it. You tended to turn off after a while. not because anything being put forward was irrelevant, but simply the sheer volume of it. I suggested, well, I talked to Sharon about this. I thought when I didn't attend the second training session, I ought to at least explain myself. I thought that information could much better have been conveyed to us in a handbook or a pamphlet. I know we were given a handout to help us through the lecture with different headings, but that's not the same thing. So I simply raised this. I don't know whether other people have got similar views as myself, but I raised it anyway.
Thank you. Godfrey?
Speaking as a fellow educator, it was awful. It was like death by PowerPoint, but you couldn't read the PowerPoint, or you couldn't read the handouts that were printed. And he did not structure it in such a way, this is the first one in particular, structure it in a way that the people got engaged. There are much better methods of transmitting information, and it was pure transmission. And I was absolutely disgusted with the first one. The second one was slightly better because he put in a couple of questions and started to promote a bit of discussion. But still, it wasn't great. You couldn't read the you couldn't read the part. I mean, I remember at one point he said, "No, looking at this next slide, you can't read this, but." Well, I used to teach. I used to teach teachers. I was a teacher trainer. And I used to observe lessons in various establishments and grade them. And that would have been a fault.
Okay, thank you for that. So I'm going to try and move on. If we can. Ron, did you want to make a quick point?
Just to quickly say, as another teacher trainer, yes, I think the main problem was it was compressed. They're normally much longer programmes. And to try and accommodate and get it in, they've compressed it, and I suspect it probably wasn't a good decision. They should have forced us to have a longer session.
Thank you. Right.
More dates.
Okay. Go on. I'm going to move us on, otherwise I'll be running out of time. Yeah.
If you go on the breakthrough communications one, they're much better.
Thank you.
I echo what's been said.
Right. So,
but in comparison to breakthrough online with the Zoom, that was much better.
Thank you. So, are we happy to?
No, I need to say something.
Oh, Sharon's got something to say on her report.
Right, so a couple of things happened. There is one in the report. What I need from you tonight is the ability to instruct a hedge cutter for the cemetery. I have major problems with the Leicester Road Cemetery, with people wanting to be buried. You asked me to get another quote in, so I got a quote for $18.50 from the lady who does the allotments, who did a very good job. I have met another guy on the cemetery. His name is Aaron Hurst. He is an Uppingham. Sorry, the address is Oadby, but he did tell me he was an Uppingham resident. He's put a quote in for £1,500. I really need. This isn't in my authority to do, so I really need you to say yes, you can get on and do this, because I have major problems actually burying people at the moment.
Peter?
I'm erring in favour of the higher quota of the two, and I will qualify that by saying that we know what good work she has done, and an excellent job. We don't know the other guy.
Sorry. It was my recommendation. I've used it and it's very good.
Well, all I can say is that I'd be very happy with the first one on the basis of the very, very good work that she did. But it's open for debate.
Okay, would members accept what's important to Sharon? She gets an authority to get it done.
Yeah.
Do we as members really mind which one she uses? Do we? Oh, you think we do? That's fine. I'll back off on that. I was just going to say, can we just not authorise Sharon to make a decision?
Also moved, Chair.
Yeah. Would you be happy with that, Peter?
Yeah.
So, all right. So, Ron's proposing, Christine's seconding. Those in favour, please. That is unanimous. There you are, Sharon. And Anything else from your report?
Yes, I'm sorry,
next one. No, that's all right.
It came in afterwards as things do. So what I need from you is a plea, really. As you all know, it is Remembrance Sunday coming up. We have some poppies in the office. Is there anybody that can help put them up for us
So
around
this is sticking
the
them
town?
on the lamp posts. Anyone want to help out sticking them on? Thank you, Mike. That's very kind. Okay. All right. So
you.
can I
Sorry.
can I now propose that we?
I've still got some.
Can I propose I
so
shut up and let Sharon
I'm
speak?
so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Go on then.
Without putting too fine a point on this, we have a problem in the office with some health concerns. So Cynthia and I are on our own. We could do with council help when we need it to just come in 10 minutes before and put some tables up for us to set the tables out. Today we cobbled together and asked the police to do it for us, but there may be an occasion where we haven't got anybody to help us.
If I'm available, I'll happily come up.
Yeah.
But obviously, I don't know from day to day necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a diary, but
Yeah.
that can change. But
Yeah.
do you have any dates in mind?
Well, it'll be council meetings.
Full council
yeah,
meeting.
it will be.
Council meeting.
It will be full council meetings.
Well, the December meeting.
Yeah.
I'll come.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I
So
just
that's.
request, Sharon, are you able just to ping out a reminder for some help on
Yes,
the
of
day?
course.
It just
Of
helps.
course. Yeah.
Helps.
So,
Yeah.
just going on the remembrance back, I've had an email in from Richard Cole, and he is inviting you all as town councillors to join himself and the parish church at in the marketplace, on the path between the vaults and the old Ashdale. Oh, that's the chemist, isn't it? Just true. Just before 11 o'clock on Saturday the 11th of November. They're going to hold a short act with national 2-minute silence, the Kahima epitaph and exhortation, last post and Rivali played by a trumpeter. So there is your invite if you would like
What
it.
time was that again?
It'll be just before 11 o'clock on Saturday the 11th.
10:45.
Yeah, yeah. Do you want me to actually ping this email round to you,
Yeah.
just so you've got
That
a
would be
copy of
helpful.
it?
That'd be helpful.
Okay,
Sharon,
I will do that. Sorry, I know I'm going on. I've spoken to Mike today as chairman of the amenities committee. We're going to stick in another amenities committee on the 15th of November. That is the same date as we've got F&GP, but we had to cancel one for various reasons. So I would like to just cover that off. So it's just to let you know, the members of F&GP.
You'll
I'll ping it round yet, but it's just literally come up again today. And yesterday, was it? We had the internal auditor in. My days merge into one. So we had the internal auditor in yesterday, and basically, I haven't got the report yet because it was yesterday, but she was very, very happy at the processes that we'd started to put together, such as the multi-authorisation that we now do for the accounts and everything. So when I get that report in more, I will let you know. But she was very happy with the way we were going. So I thought that was really, well, for me it felt good, so it shows we're doing the right thing. Another piece of information hot off the press this morning, I did mention this before, the Levelling Up and Regeneration Bill has been given royal assent and is therefore an Act of Parliament. So on the 17th of October the government had disagreed with the House of Lords amendment that would have enabled the option of remote meetings. I did say this to you in a couple of meetings ago. So that is now not a thing. We can't have remote meetings. The last thing is we have had a quote in for the roof. We've got two people coming in next week, and that came to £58,685 to put this roof right. But that's one quote, so I'll let you know as the others come in. But so sorry, Chair, there was quite a bit there.
Sharon. Can I propose we receive Sharon's report? Seconded by Mark. Those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Right, moving on at speed. We've all received the design review panel's letter, haven't we? For everyone read that?
Yeah.
It was an absolute ringing endorsement, in my opinion, of our neighbourhood plan. So well done,
Agreed.
us. So I would like to propose we receive the design review panels concluded. Seconded by Mark. Those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. This next one's really important, which is to seek agreement of the Town Council as the qualifying body for the appointment of Andrew Ashcroft to be appointed as the external examiner for the neighbourhood plan.
I'll
Ron?
also move chair on the grounds that our consultant has high regard from a lot of evidence of good.
Yeah, so I think it's really important to say thank you, Ron, for reminding me that we did go to Clive Keeble and say, what do you think about this chap? And Clive Keeble gave a very good endorsement of him. I don't know if you read the letter that Andrew Ashcroft sent, but I liked the fact he was actually already saying nice things about our neighbourhood plan in there and saying how good it was. So
No, if you're cynical, would you?
I know he would, but I felt that I warmed to him. Ron, are you proposing that we endorse Andrew Ashcroft? Does that find a seconder? Christine seconded that. And those in favour, please. That is unanimous. Yeah, thank you. Mark, would you take item 15, the planning, please?
Yeah, 15A, 2023 0524. This has come back to us. This is about what they call it? Gone now. Heaters, air source heat pumps externally at this property. If you read the planning portal, we have a lot of neighbours that are objecting against this particular one. And my proposal is that we support the neighbours and not recommend this one for approval.
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favour? Unanimous.
You got that, Sharon?
B, 14, 15B, whichever it is, 2023 1074. A group of sycamore trees that overhang a rear garden to be reduced back by 2 metres, so not encroaching on the garden and house. 15 Poplar Close. Again, I've looked at this on the pictures online. To me, this looks like sensible maintenance and care of neighbours, and I would propose this one for approval. Do I seek a seconder?
Peter, thank you, Peter.
All those in favour? Unanimous. And last one, 2023 1072, proposed single storey porch extension to the front of the property, 33 North Street, East Uppingham. This is a very small extension. It doesn't look like it impacts on anybody at all. Any questions on this one? I propose this one for approval.
I'll second.
15 seconds. All those in favour? Unanimous.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mark.
Oh, sorry.
You're going to do 15 as well? Yeah. Receive planning.
Yeah, to receive planning decisions as described. I propose this. Christine, all those in favour? Done.
Unanimous. Thank you. Brilliant. Last item, we just got to notes and correspondence. We've had the Larauk round robins, the training bulletins. We had the Articles of Association. Thank you everyone who responded on those. And the Rural Services newsletter. And without further ado, Christine asked me a question just before I could close. Yes, Christine.
Have we heard from the surgery?
We have not, Christine.
Well, can we remind them?
We can. We can. All right, we will remind the surgery. And with that, I declare the meeting closed. Thank you so much. Sorry it ran over.
Let me show you.
I'll be with you. I'm just doing something. Yeah, I'm with you. I promise you.